afraid to go there for glasses.
I always get it for.
But
first
I've
thing in the
had no
morning.
problem with, hi Jeff, I've had no
No.
problem with.
You don't need, I got to see the Jones.
Well, I knew I could always,
Mike, that's yelling.
reschedule after. I just wanted to let this settle in more.
Yeah.
I was blind.
Ready? We're on the air? Okay.
Rankin's fixing this from back there.
This way or this way? Or this way or this way?
Or no, I'm sorry.
November 6th. No, it's November.
If you don't have to pull it from their own finish. Yeah.
Beautiful, thank you. I thought I.
Must be the first two. Okay, he turned it on.
All right, we're all ready? Okay, here we go. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I don't think the microphone's on. A regular meeting of the Village Board on Monday, December 18th at 7 PM in the Germantown Village Hall Boardroom, and also can be accessed via WebEx. This meeting has been given public notice in accordance with sections 19.83 and 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes in such form that will apprise the general public and news media of subject matter that is intended for consideration and action. Roll call shows all village board members present. At this time, I'll ask us to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item is President's Report. The only thing I have to report is as we get closer and within the final week before Christmas, I'd like to wish everyone out in Germantown and all the residents and everyone here tonight a Merry Christmas and also a Happy New Year. Hopefully, you will be able to enjoy the holidays with your family. Safe travels if you're traveling, but please take time to cherish the holidays with your family. Times like these are few and far between. Put the phone down, turn the TV off, and spend a little time together and have fellowship with all and enjoy the season. So for everyone here on this side of the dais to everyone there, Merry Christmas. That's all I have. So we can go to announcements of forthcoming events of public interest, committee and department reports, starting with committee reports and committee chairs with trustee Kaminsky.
Public Works will meet in this room at 5:30 on Tuesday, January 9th.
Right? Trustee Rick Miller.
General Government and Finance will meet in this room on January 15th, Monday.
Thank you. Trustee Hudson.
Public Safety will meet in this room January 8th at 5:30 PM.
All right, thank you. Does anyone else have anything else they'd like to bring forward of forthcoming events of public interest, committee or department reports? Trustee Jan Miller.
Thank you. I'd just like to give you all an update. Many of you are familiar with our Luminary Night that we hold every December in the Windsong subdivision, and I have the results. It was a success. We are so pleased to provide the following results. 775 cars came through our subdivision in Windsong subdivision. We collected 95 boxes of food, or approximately 5,000 pounds of food, and $3,100 in monetary donations for the St. Boniface Food Pantry. This was our 30th annual event, and it has grown every year. The 5-year average is 750 cars, 110 boxes of food, and $2,900 in monetary donations. It's overwhelmingly appreciated for the support that we provide to St. Boniface. And I just wanted to also thank our police department for showing up and helping with the traffic that night. It was very, very busy, as they do every Luminary Night. And also the fire department, I'm sure they were taking calls then too. We appreciate our public safety team and appreciate their service. So thank you so much for all your donations and thoughtfulness.
Yeah, great. Congratulations and thank you for that report. Does anyone else have anything else for announcements of forthcoming events of public interest, committee or department reports? Village Administrator.
Two quick things. First, there is a joint review board meeting tomorrow evening at 5:30 at Fireman's Park, where we'll be reviewing the annual reports for TIDS 6, 7, and 8. And then also just a note about Village Hall hours over the holidays. Village Hall will be closed on Monday, the 25th and Tuesday, the 26th. It will be open Wednesday, the 27th and Thursday, the 28th. Will be closed again Friday, the 29th and January 1st.
Hmm.
And then back to our regular schedule after that.
But open this Friday, the 22nd?
We'll be open this Friday, the 22nd.
So every day this week and only 2 days next week.
Yes, it fell a little bit funny this year
Mhm.
because of Christmas and New Year's being on a Monday, and the Friday closure on the 29th had to be scheduled on the 29th, so it fell within the calendar year.
Mhm.
Otherwise, that normally would have been the Monday, Tuesday, but we had to change it to Friday, the 29th in order to get it in.
So all those that want to pay their tax bills before the end of the year should be brought in this week or
Or the 27th or 28th.
28th next week. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Then we can go to the next item on the agenda, which is citizen input. If there's anyone within our audience or joining us via WebEx that would like to participate in citizen input, you're welcome to do so. If you're within our audience, we ask that you fill out one of the yellow slips that can be found either on the podium or at the back of the room. And if you are joining us via WebEx, please make your interest known so that the moderator of the WebEx homepage can bring you forward when you're available. So at this time, anyone wishing to come forward, you can come to the podium right there. Please push the button in the middle that says push so that the light goes out, and then you'll be able to be heard by everybody that's watching at home.
Thank you.
I've got some that are complete half.
We can share this one real quick. If you want. We can share. Thank you.
My name is Sandra Gage and I live at N101 West 17618, Misty Morning Way.
Yep, you got it.
Am I okay?
You're fine.
Can I go?
You can go.
Okay. I'm here to speak tonight on the tree trimming that has taken place in Meadow Creek Crossing. I have distributed a packet to all members. Please look at the photos in the section titled Meadow Creek Crossing. This work was performed by the contractor under the direction of Scott Anderson. Only the street sides have been extensively pruned. Note the positioning of the trees. We do not have sidewalks. The majority of the trees are placed 15 to 17 feet from the curb, which would be at the back side of the sidewalk. The trees were trimmed to specifications of tree placement between the curb and the sidewalk. The village code in your packet states trees are to be maintained 14 feet above street surface and 10 feet above sidewalks. Note, this document was created on June 8th, 2023. Few, if any, of the trees even grew to the curb. Scott Anderson also stated they plan on pruning again in 7 years if the budget allows. It may be longer, so they are pruning to 18 feet for the future. There is no mention of height in the bid, which is also in there. Because of the extensive and unnecessary trimming of the street side of these trees, they are no longer aesthetically pleasing. Branches are high on the street side with low and large branches protruding onto the homeowner's side. They are thick on top. It would most likely be unhealthy for the tree to remove any more branches at this time. Most homeowners have been having the trees pruned per our original subdivision development agreement, required by the village for the subdivision to proceed, and signed by the Director of Public Works, Village President, Village Clerk, and Village Attorney, and also notarized. Homeowners have also been replacing dead trees as required per the agreement dated September 16th, 2002. We have now been told by Scott Anderson we are not allowed to continue doing so and can be fined. The comment frequently made by Scott Anderson is, "They are our trees." Is the village responsible for the entire tree, including that which overhangs our private property? These trees are planted so close to our property lines that they are overhanging an extensive part of many private front yards. Will the village be trimming and pruning portions of these trees facing private property since we don't have sidewalks and they are set so far from the curb? At the meeting where Scott Anderson made his presentation we attended, he assured all of you the trees would be properly pruned, thinned, and to a standard aesthetically pleasing. I included some comments we quickly collected from some of our residents yesterday, and they strongly disagree. Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward. Is there anyone else wishing to come forward at this time for citizen input? Thank you.
My name is, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Tony Fidel. I've been here over 30 years. I was a tree contractor for over 35 years. I did take a look at all the trees that were trimmed because of all the complaints I saw on Nextdoor and the people that called me to complain about it. And there is no way that what Crawford said, he was in the contract that he did. The trees look absolutely horrible. They're not fixable at this point. So he damaged them to the extent that they're going to look like HELL for decades. He did not thin them out. I saw, there was a dead branch laying on top, totally unconnected, laying on another branch right next to a fresh cut that they didn't even take out. I mean, it was laying there. How can you not see that? There's what's called a branch collar. That's where you cut it. It's extremely important that you cut the branch at the right spot. Otherwise, it won't heal properly. It'll take much longer to heal, and it creates an infection if you don't do it there. We have enough problem. There's a bug in Pennsylvania that attacks 80 different trees, and it's coming this way, just like ash borer. I took down over 500 trees for one lady alone, all ash trees. So we got to take care of our trees. And instead of planting more, why don't we get a decent certified arborist on board that knows how to train these other guys that are doing the work? They want to plant 75 trees a year. So we're city, Tree City USA. So we attract more people to the village. It's ridiculous. We don't take care of the trees we have now. Why plant more? I just don't understand it. His pruning, his answer to and he's a board certified master arborist. It was a joke. I said, school definitely left you behind. And he said he was on the job himself, and he looked at these trees and he did it to ANSI standards, which he did not. They aren't thinned. I saw 1.5-inch branches that should have come off. I saw branches that they didn't cut them to the branch collar. It was an absolute horrible job that he did. So I just don't get why we're even planting more trees. I live in Indian Hills, and they were going to put 75 in there this year, and nobody wanted them. We've been there 30 years. If we wanted more trees, we would have planted them ourselves. I just don't understand why we're planting more trees that we're not taking care of, are the ones we have now. It just doesn't make sense to me. So why don't we get a board certified arborist so we don't have to pay these other exorbitant prices that these other contractors charge? So that's it. That's it.
Thank you for coming forward. Is there anyone else that wishes to come forward at this time for citizen input? Okay. Hello?
Doug Jansen, Tanglewood Drive, Germantown. Very quick, very brief. I've had several neighbors come over to me and they have complained vigorously about the hack job that was done. All you have to do is drive down Tanglewood Drive and you will see it for yourself. Neighbor to my right, Andy, came over and said, quote, "Doug, what the hell?" Another one wanted to know what was going on across the street. There's limbs hacked off. They cut one side and they don't go around the back and kind of even it off so it looks nice. I had a discussion with Scott. He came out special. I wonder why. And I asked him, just if you're going to cut my trees, and I realized they're not my trees anymore, they're yours. But I take care of them. We have another company that takes care of. I asked him, please, just make it symmetrical so it looks good. This is a joke, what's there now, absolute joke. You would, if it was your house, you would be up here complaining too. So far, they haven't cut my trees. Yet. So personally, and I asked another person, I said, do my trees need trimming? He said, nope. I don't know. I don't understand this at all. But it's a hack job. You can see it when you drive right down there. You know, it's what they did. So the rest of my case, thank you for listening to me.
Thank you for coming forward.
I didn't want to offend anybody. I'm just saying it. That's what happened. And the neighbors are quite upset. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to come forward at this time for citizen input? We're going to have something probably available, but I'm waiting for everybody that's going to speak.
Okay, push button, which one?
No, you're good. It's all set.
John PA. Germantown N101 W17618 Misty Morning Way. Comment on the trees. Yeah, you heard from my wife. But what I'd like to see going forward, what's done is done. I'm not going in the past. I want to go forward. In the future, I'd like to see the village prioritize tree care and pruning on heavily traveled streets. Most villages designate their streets as major or minor streets, not residential. Major streets being Mequon and Pilgrim, those have residents on them. Where I live is minor streets. It's mainly residents. There's no big trucks normally going through there. But what I'd like to do is see the major roads handled first. That is the most important, making sure that the trucks can get through. In the last photo areas were pointed out to Scott during the meeting of this presentation. One trustee even asked if it was possible for DPW to have pruners in their vehicles just to prune back branches, blocking signage, lights, things like on Mequon Road. I think you have a package in there that shows some of the blockage there, traffic signals. Going forward, is it possible to have a long-term laid out plan for the village? Menominee Falls has an excellent one. Wauwatosa allows its residents to do minor pruning between their major work, anything with a branch 1.5 inches or less, as long as the person doing the pruning has to stay on the ground and is not using a chainsaw, but an actual, handsaw. Tree City USA suggests a citizen tree committee working with forestry. I don't know, does Germantown have a citizen group that does this? I've never heard of one, but that doesn't mean anything. But this would be an excellent way to involve the community. Some communities have the police note the work that needs to be done when they make their rounds. Homeowners are given 30-day notice to resolve it on their own. If they don't, the city will take care of it, kind of like mowing your grass. If you don't do it, we'll do it for you and bill you. That would be another way of the village saving money. You just paid over $33,000 to get trees trimmed that maybe you didn't have to use that money, because I don't know. I don't think we're in the best shape. There are many ways going into the future programs. And one of the worst ways is have the city come out and say, they're my trees and I can do what I want. Because I really felt like the city is just telling me, hey, you can go to hell because this is my tree and we're going to prune it the way we want. And on my property, I was told 14 feet is not enough. Nowhere it says it. It does say it in the ordinance. I think you have a copy, because it'll be later that we get back. We're going to go 18 feet. Well, my tree is 17 feet from the street. So if you start cutting it back, you're going to really kind of make it kind of go like this. But I was told I have no choice. So in the future, I would like to see a citizens board. Let us get involved. We don't want to not take care of our trees. It's just coming out and saying that. But what I do have for you, I'm done, is what Wauwatosa has. Yeah, what other communities do with their trees.
Thank you.
What? So I do appreciate you listening. And I know you're probably had trees up there. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming forward. Is there anyone else that wishes to come forward at this time for citizen input?
Okay, Melanie Smythe, N140W17938 Cedar Lane. And Merry Christmas. Thank you for the sentiment. I saw that the annual report for 2022 has been posted as a draft dated the 14th, which is great. I didn't have a chance to go through it, so I imagine I'll be doing that sometime over the holidays. But I did find some highlights. We've got more expenditures than revenues. And with the, I forgot what the term is, but the moving back and forth of money, Turns out we have a deficit of 1.1 million approximately. We also increased our debt by 40 million last year. And we have an austere budget for 2024. And I'm just wondering, in the next budget cycle, which hopefully will be beginning January, February, when we can start collecting information and have a preliminary budget done by June, or at least research done by June, so that we don't have to wait till the end of the year to do a budget next year. We'll know a little bit more about and can prepare a little bit more rather than have to make some drastic cuts, because I don't know where else they're going to come from, since we did a lot of cutting this year for next year's budget. I looked at the financing plan for TID 9, and without TID 9, our taxes this year were only supposed to go up around $20. But according to this, they went up $193 on an average $350,000 home. And without TID 9, this year would have been the highest tax year of all of them, with subsequent taxes on houses going down. But now our taxes are going to go up and continue to go up until we get to 2032. And then they'll start going down. But they won't reach last year's tax rate until 2038. So that's a little shocking. And now there's hopefully no more talk of adding dollars into TIDs. So one quick thing for the truck country people, I think that you're a good use based on the fact of where you are and what has happened with that quadrant of the village. It's too bad that a lot of those buildings are, in my opinion, ugly. They're too large, and they cause light pollution at night, traffic. I was hoping that maybe there'd be a little bit more design on the front of on the truck country, because it faces the highway. I have driven through Sussex and I've seen almost the exact same building over there. So if I was you, I'd want it to be my own, with your own identity a little bit more. It looks like it matches an existing building somewhere else within half an hour of here. And so if you could consider adding a little bit more design quality to the facade facing the highway, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward. Is there anyone else that wishes to come forward at this time for citizen input? Is there anyone joining us online via WebEx that wants to participate in citizen input? No? Okay. For those that have come forward about the trees and have brought your statements and information forward, we appreciate that very much. We'll be looking at the possibility, and it's really up to Trustee Kaminsky, to place this topic on a future Public Works agenda, just for discussion, explanation, and future plans. So please check the agendas for future Public Works Committee meetings and look for it to be on the agenda. You can also sign up for notices online so that when it does come up, you don't always have to search. It will send you an email and let you know what is on those agendas coming forward. You're welcome. If there's nothing else for citizen input, we can then go to consent agenda. Board? Thank you for coming.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Motion made and seconded, made by Trustee Pieper, seconded by Trustee Baum. Trustee Warren, to approve consent agenda items A. Is there any discussion on that motion to approve? No discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Not opposed? Motion carries. Next item is unfinished business. We have one item listed, which is item A, November 6th, 2023, regular meeting minutes.
Motion to approve unfinished business item A.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by the same people.
I got this one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even see his lips move. All right, motion made by trustee Peeper, second by trustee Baum. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve November 6, 2023 regular meeting minutes? Trustee Jan Miller?
I have a correction, please. On page 4 of the minutes, under approved staff recommendation of contracting with Crawford Tree and Landscape Services to trim all trees as outlined in the bid documents for an amount not to exceed $33,314.65. It was motioned by Rick Miller, seconded by Terry Kamensky, and the vote is incorrect. You have the Millers inverted. It was yes, vote for David Baum, Terry Kamensky, Phil Hudson, and Rick Miller. And then no's were Bill Nyreither, Jan Miller, and Jolene Pieper. And that is street tree trimming project, item D on page 4. I'll just give this to you, Donna.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So that'll be on the next agenda for unfinished business? Or do you want to approve it with your requested changes? Thank you. Thank you for coming. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, do you need an amendment for that?
Yeah.
Or just
I
for the
would, say
correction?
you could make a motion to amend to approve it with requested changes. Correct? Village Attorney? Yes.
Make a motion to amend with the corrected changes.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. This is a motion to amend. Any discussion on the motion to amend? No discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None opposed? Back to the motion as amended. Further discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Takes care of unfinished business. That then takes us to new business, starting with new business item A, Truck Country of Wisconsin, Inc., agent for R.A. Steinman Legacy LLC, property owner located at North 128 West 21795 Holy Hill Road, for a rezoning application from an N1 limited industrial to a B5 highway business zoning district, and for a conditional use permit to allow development and operation of a 37,700 square foot motor vehicle sales and service facility. To give us some more information and background on this new business item, we'll turn the meeting over to our Community Development Director, Jeff Retzloff.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you indicated, Truck Country, Wisconsin is seeking approval of rezoning and a conditional use permit application as prerequisites for their proposed 37,000 square foot motor vehicle sales and service facility located on the just under 16-acre parcel as highlighted on the screen, southeast quadrant of the Holy Hill Road at I-41 interchange, nearest the intersection of Holy Hill and what currently is referred to as B Street. And I'll try to use that in my discussion this evening to keep our bearings straight. The site is currently zoned M1 Limited Industrial. The proposal is for a facility that would redevelop the entire site. Here's a concept plan that was included in the application for the rezoning and CUP. I would point out we have since received application for site plan development and building plans that will be processed in the coming month. And as I indicated, both the rezoning and the CUP approval are required as prerequisites for further development of the site. The proposed rezoning again is to rezone from M1 Limited Industrial to B5 Highway Business. In the B5 Highway Business District, motor vehicle sales and service is allowed with a conditional use permit. As shown on the screen here, the site is located in the southwest corner of the Holy Hill Gateway District as designated in our 2050 plan. The conditional use proposal for the vehicle sales and service has the following characteristics. It's intended to be a full truck sales, service, and parts operation, a Freightliner dealership. The building size would be 37,700 square feet, 16,000 square feet of service, 7,000 for office, and just under 15,000 square feet for parts and warehousing. Just over 200 total parking stalls are proposed on the site. 130 truck vehicle stalls are included. The site currently is proposed with a 8-foot chain link fence enclosure that was discussed at the Plan Commission level, and there was a preliminary request that that be eliminated from the plan, and that will be considered further as part of the site and development plan application. The proposed hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. 45 total employees are expected, spread out over 2 shifts of operation. The 2050 land use plan designates the area, again, the Holy Hill Gateway District. Suitable uses in there include acceptable uses, commercial, highway-oriented commercial would be one of those. And as shown on the vision plan here for the 2050 plan that was intended to be refined by the master plans for both the Holy Hill Gateway and the Freistadt District areas. The specific designation under the vision plan is for mixed uses, including commercial and high-density residential. The intention was for those master plans to be developed and further refine what the uses would be allowed. As we've discussed previously, the master plans are temporarily on hold pending the outcome of our Tracy Cross residential market analysis that we're still waiting for. And a decision with regard to the frontage road or B Street railroad crossing application, which is expected to be made, application made in January of next year. With that, the revised schedule for the master plans is now the earliest in the spring of 2024. However, as we've discussed, the frontage road, the B Street at Holy Hill Road intersection is intended for a commercial activity center with highway-oriented retail services being consistent with that classification at this particular site in the Holy Hill Gateway District. With that, following the public hearing and consideration of the application and staff recommendation, the Plan Commission recommendation is to approve both the rezoning from M1 Limited Industrial to B5 Highway Business and to approve the proposed conditional use permit application for Truck Country of Wisconsin for the development and operation of their facility, subject to 9 conditions. We do have a short slide deck that Truck Country has provided. I don't know if you gentlemen want to go through that again this evening, as we did with the Plan Commission. Okay. I'm going to go back. We'll start over again.
So down.
Do you need the volume? Okay.
Push the button one more time so the light goes out. Yes.
Okay, I thought on.
I know it's opposite. I know.
Okay.
That's all.
That's not how.
That was the
okay.
old microphones. That's why we get all screwed up here.
Well, the images on the slide are some of the modern dealerships that Truck Country has developed in the last 4 or 5 years. Well, that's dating me probably like 7 or 8 years. And they're ranging from Dubuque to the Madison area to New Hampshire, Illinois, as it is here. Essentially, what it is, it's a 37,000 square foot building, support truck sales and service and sales and parts distribution, and parts warehouse.
All right, thank you.
Welcome any questions while I'm up. I got the mic working, I might.
I'll make a
Trustee-
motion to approve the rezoning and the conditional use permit as presented.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion on the motion to approve. Trustee Nyrider.
Just a couple of things, and my questions are for Director Retzloff. I know in reading the paper, and I believe in even your summary, there was discussion about a billboard and the elimination of a billboard. Is that Is that, that was not in one of your nine, what do you call them, CUPs conditions?
Yes, it is actually.
Is it in there? Okay.
I believe beginning on page 36 of 217 in the packet is page 1 of the proposed conditional use permit document. And within that document on what would be page 37, condition number 5 refers to the billboards. Use of the existing non-conforming billboards located on the property for advertising and or wayfinding for truck country operations shall be prohibited. Subject to further review by the village attorney, the 2 non-conforming billboards shall be removed from the property. That was added in by the Plan Commission following their consideration and discussion of the application a week ago.
And I'm sorry, has that been agreed upon? That they will do that?
I know that I'm sorry, I'm going to interject here because I know we haven't had an opportunity to get feedback from the village attorney
Okay.
on that just yet. So,
Okay. My other question has to do with approving this. And, you know, your notes state that, you know, the difficulty of a driveway, et cetera there, or a road, and nothing has really been defined as to which way you would go with that. To me, I would think that that would be a question we would want to have answered before moving ahead here. I would
yeah,
think
we are getting very close to resolving the access issue. In the staff report, what was presented was a discussion about both of the proposed driveways, the north one being on the north side of the Holy Hill self-storage. As you can see in this photograph,
Yep.
it lies real close to the B Street at Holy Hill Road intersection. And then the southerly axis on the south side of the Holy Hill self-storage is what's being discussed now as the primary driveway into the site.
Primary drive to the site, the north access road, which is the existing path to get to the marina right now, is essentially referred to internally as the back gate, if you will.
Yep.
If there's something that, you know, has clogged the main gate or something like that, that is an alternate or emergency access as well.
Wouldn't we want to finalize that before we would go ahead with approval here?
Well, a couple of things. Keep in mind that these are the rezoning of the land in general
Yep.
and the conditional use permit for the operation. At this point, what I'm hearing is the operation can function either way, with or without that northerly driveway. Condition number 8 on page 37 of 217 refers to this topic as well. It's a little lengthy, but it says, if the existing north driveway is intended to be used for any type of access to the truck country site, a traffic impact study for the truck country operation shall be prepared and submitted prior to or concurrent with the submittal of site development and building plan applications. That process is ongoing right now. The said traffic impact study should include an analysis of all existing and proposed intersections and driveways serving the truck country site to determine the adequacy of site distance, available ingress, egress maneuvering, site distances, corner distances, and driveway separation, turning lane and traffic control requirements, etc. Said analysis should consider the impact of future development traffic from future development north and south of Holy Hill Road, with and without the village's proposed frontage road and railroad crossing in that as well. This condition sort of goes hand in hand with number 9, which is really the heavy hand. And that reads, site development and building plans for the proposed truck country building and site shall not be approved by the village until a mutually acceptable and code compliant access road and driveway has been determined and agreed to by the village, truck country, the R.A. Stammen Legacy LLC, and Holy Hill Self-Storage, the other entity in the neighborhood that shares that north driveway. So unless and until the access driveway issue is entirely resolved and mutually agreed to, development can't proceed. So we're just, at this point, taking care of those prerequisites, the rezoning and the conditional use permit.
So the likelihood is there'll be a driveway there, not a road.
I think the likelihood is there'll be a road.
I'm not sure. Which are you referring to, Bill? That north
Are you talking about the street A
I'm
or
looking
B, excuse me, B, sorry. no, maybe.
Yeah.
at the northern portion or wherever, but there was some comment made in your notes about a possibility of a road. Not a driveway, a road.
Well, as Jim, right? Or Chris? Chris, sorry. Chris is, yeah, who's ever running the pointer is doing a good job.
I mean, at the present time, the driveway for the storage units is to the east.
Yes, Brian's running that marker up and down, north and south along a 2-acre outlot that lies on the east side of both properties, the storage and the truck country properties. That 2-acre piece is owned by Holy Hill Self-Storage. They have granted easements over the years to the truck country property for purposes of access. When I say we, I mean the village, truck country, and Holy Hill Self-Storage are currently discussing the opportunity to construct a roadway in that 2-acre outlot that would serve as a part of the frontage road that's planned under our 2050 plan. That would provide the public, if it is public right-of-way access for the private driveways going into not only Holy Hill Self-Storage, but also truck country of Wisconsin as shown on this site plan.
And how,
So we're working all of that out.
and how would the cost of that be distributed if it were to be done?
That I don't know at this point.
That's my point. You know, what there's possibility the village could be asked to do a portion, all of it, none of it.
Well, I think there's certainly that possibility. I mean, we, the village, have intended to install a frontage road south from Holy Hill, down across the railroad, all the way into the Freistadt District to Freistadt Road.
Okay.
Similarly, we've gotten the plan to construct a frontage road, the same frontage road, north of Holy Hill, up to Rockfield Road and beyond. Whether or not that construction by the village and the timing of these developments, these being truck country and Green Bay Packaging on the north side of Holy Hill, depending on the timing of all that, there may very well be an opportunity to share expenses, costs, public-private partnership, and get it all done and construct one road at one time in a manner that we would like it to be constructed for future access to these properties and beyond.
It just seems to me like that should have been part of this as well. And I know, you know, you've got it worded in that this, no building, whatever, can go ahead until that part of it's completed. But to me, it would have made, I think, some sense to see it at this point in time.
Well, from the approach, just so I can unpack how we approach this. So we approach it from steps of risk, right? So the first step is, can we do this at all,
Mhm.
right? And that's where we are today.
Yep.
It's a rezoning conditional use permit.
Mhm.
Then if it's yes, then this is how we try to get it done together. And that's part of what Jeff's speaking on. Currently, as it's drawn, it would be a private drive because it's on private property. And that could be a path. Or it's some kind of shared agreement. But from a process standpoint, yes, you're right. This feels like this is a big piece to get understood, but we have to understand if we can do the whole 15.8 acre development at all before we can get to that more pretty important detail about getting to the acreage.
Probably the most important detail.
Well, it is the next most important decision. Yes, correct. Absolutely.
I mean, I have
Yes.
no problem. The development of what you want to do there is excellent. I think it fits the property. That's my only concern.
No, you bring up a great point because it's a piece that we need to get discovered.
And that's one of the reasons it's a condition.
Yeah, and I would go on to say that if for some reason that the village doesn't mutually agree to a road construction in that 2-acre outlot, and we back out of the process, if you will, the truck country and Holy Hill Self-Storage, by way of their ownership of the 2-acre outlot and their easement agreements, they could work out a deal where they do construct a private street, if you will, or long driveway, however you want to look at it, in that north-south 2-acre lot to provide access to both properties. You know, the downside of that is at some point, the village wants to construct a frontage road then we would be on the hook for constructing all of that and possibly reconstructing a private driveway or street a short time, thereafter. And ideally, if we can do one road at one time, makes a lot of sense too.
Thank you.
Trustee Warren?
Share some of the same concerns as my neighbor. My first concern is that we deviate again from our 2050 plan, although mixed use shown here next to a freeway, I shouldn't say mixed use, mixed residential near the freeway doesn't make sense to me in this plan. I think this is a better use for this location. But I have concerns with access, as we talked about. I have concerns with being so close to the freeway exit and truck turning movements. Concerned about what the railroad. Anybody here try to get permits for a new crossing from the railroad? It's quite a challenge. So all that said, we've seen these challenges before, and it's not insurmountable, but my concern is if we run into a something that we can't take care of and the site Truck Country walks away, do the conditional use permits and the zoning change stay with that parcel, or does it go away because the developer goes away, basically?
Well, the rezoning would stay unless we change the rezoning. And frankly, rezoning it to B5 highway business makes a lot of sense, whether it's Truck Country or Burger King or a hotel or something else that's highway oriented and allowed in the B5 district. So that makes a lot of sense to move forward with that. Obviously, if Truck Country pulls out, there's no need for the conditional use permit, and the village, we invalidate it, and then we move forward to whatever the next proposal brings.
Sometimes you get into the cart before the horse, like Bill was talking about. I mean, there's studies that need to be done. We don't have the advantage of knowing what those results are, but we're still moving ahead with the conditional use and the rezoning. But I appreciate your argument that it's probably a better zoning requirement here, so we'll still go ahead with it. I'll approve it. I'll vote in favor of it, but it's just some of my concerns.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, we are responding to applications that are submitted to us. And while it may be in some interest, good to just put those on hold until we know all of the answers, that typically doesn't work out best that way. And if the board at this point wants to, hold off on granting the conditional use permit, you're certainly able to do so until we have the outcome of that additional information. However, I'd point out that, we're real close to resolving the access issue. We do have more information that will be reviewed by the Plan Commission at next month's meeting concerning the details of the site development and building plans. And we should have, I'm hopeful that we'll have that access issue resolved by then. If not, we can't approve the site and development plans with these conditions that are before you this evening. If you want to make the conditions stronger, you can do that too.
Further discussion? Trustee Jan Miller?
Jeff, when you say access issues, are you talking just up there on the north end, or what are we talking about? Access?
Providing access to the Truck Country development site, which includes how to deal with the north driveway, how to treat construction of whatever it happens to be, private street or public road in the north-south 2-acre outlot on the east side. That's generally what I'm referring to as far as access.
So can you explain to me, in this drawing on the east side is, I'm going to call it an access road. And right now, is it more of a driveway for the storage units?
It is, it's a shared driveway. It doesn't extend as far south as shown on this graphic. It goes just a little bit south of the main driveway into the Holy Hill storage property. I don't know which one is better.
Oh, yeah, I can see where it enters now. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Again, that's owned by Holy Hill Self-Storage, and they have granted easement rights to the R.A. Steinman Legacy LLC property, which is what Truck Country is looking to acquire and develop.
Okay. So, with that said, I mean, you're, in the other diagram that you had, it looked like the access was coming down on the east side, then it, goes on the south side of those storage units, correct? That's the proposal.
Yes.
And in this diagram that we're seeing, is it an actual road or is it a driveway?
This would be a driveway because it's on private property. It does not adhere to the standards of your municipal road standards because technically we're not required to provide that. It's private.
Okay, so if it says private, then, you can
It would
pick
probably
and
be
choose how big.
30-ish feet wide and it wouldn't probably meet your 66-foot right-of-way requirements, although it's a 66-foot right-of-way. Yeah, we could build it to meets our development requirements.
So for, and the pictures I saw, these are 18-wheelers, correct? Okay. Uh, So for those trucks, you need a little bit bigger turning radius. So would you be even able to achieve what you need in the width?
Our driveways accommodate this.
Okay. And then I thought I mean, I share my concerns that Bill and Bob had. There was discussion about the fence that was supposed to be around the perimeter, and you decided not to do this?
We would concede that request, not have it on the interstate side. It's still going to be a gated site.
For security. Are you going to have a truck entrance gate? So before somebody comes in, you have a gate? Yep, okay.
It's a site plan.
I'm just looking at one picture here. And then the other question I have, you have approximately 45 employees, correct? And you're requesting, I didn't count these, but you were requesting about 206 parking spaces?
106 spaces. We have overlap of shift, but there's also, I think some of that parking count also includes vehicle.
Truck display stalls, yeah.
Oh,
So
it's like a
think about
new
something that's
car
our dealership,
dealer,
you know,
your dealership.
stuff
Oh,
is
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
sale, Stuff is there for service, it has to be parked and then turned as it gets serviced.
But in total, it's 206?
I think that combines truck and car parking.
Correct. Correct. Okay. That's a lot. But you don't have to move them every day.
Well, you have to understand that there's two shifts, so there's employee turnover, so during the day.
Uh-huh.
So that you have to accommodate both shifts coming and going from the service department. So it's like 45 times and plus like 25 of car parking at a shift change. So everyone has to have a car parking spot, so that's how you get to the 75.
I see.
So believe me, we don't need to build more parking.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean-
but it accommodates the program.
Okay.
We're not going out just.
We need parking spaces.
Oh, that, no, just kidding.
Okay. And then I'm curious, you're asking for hours of operation to be limited those specified in the CUP application, supporting documents submitted to the village. And you're asking Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Don't we have any, and then Saturday, 7 to 4, this is a business. Do we have any ordinances about, two shift, and when the trucks and the noise is supposed to be?
No,
Okay. Because 10 PM stuck in my mind for some other ordinance. I think it's a good application. I'm very leery of supporting it without, some definite plans. And Jeff had shared with us in another meeting that there are some difficulties getting, didn't you need something from the railroad people?
no, they don't need anything from the railroad at this point.
Okay.
The railroad discussion relates to the future frontage road crossing the railroad.
Crossing which road?
The
South.
the
Okay.
railroad crossing.
It's further south.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Further discussion, trustee Baum.
So at Plan Commission, we did ask the applicants to bring forward at the next meeting, when they bring the full site plan, to bring documentation that shows the turning radius of trucks, to show how they're going to get on the property and off the property. If they're going to use that northern access point, show us how the trucks can make the turns. If the intersection curbing has to be redone, they will redo it to make their trucks work. All the questions that you're asking have been asked by the Plan Commission, and they will bring that forward at the next meeting. So at the Plan Commission level, we are very comfortable with this. Today, do you want this here or not? And does this, the other aspect that we are approving is the use. Do you want the use here or not? So the other details we will get into. And what they said in their presentation is correct. You have to answer whether you want this here first before we go and spend any money on doing other studies of how to get the geometry to work on the site. Don't want it, we're not gonna spend the money doing that analysis. So first answer, yes, do you want it? Then they'll come in and tell us, yes, we can make it work, and we'll get the road worked out.
To the point, it's a risk assessment. We start here and then we zone in on, we dig deeper into the details. That's.
Trustee Warren. Trustee Kaminsky.
I agree with trustee Baum. I think that we are really getting way too far ahead of ourselves here. This is conditional use and rezoning only. I totally support this. And yes, we do want this here. Why wouldn't we want this business here? I think it's awesome. And I totally support it.
Further discussion. Trustee Jan Miller.
I'm just wondering about the timing for this meeting and approval of the zoning and the CUP before you actually go to the
That's an.
Because if they're not gonna get a yes from us, they're not gonna do the study. They have to know that they can put this here before they go do the studies. I'm not gonna go spend money on doing the studies if you're not gonna approve this use going here.
I mean, this is a natural progression, rezoning, conditional use, and then the site plan. Sometimes we handle or process all three concurrently. In this case, it's a step-by-step approach.
What about these wetlands that are in the perimeter?
The wetlands are deemed man-made, so they're able to be filled and mitigated.
And we will look at that in detail at the Plan
The
Commission.
letter is coming from the DNR, at any day now. Stand by the mailbox. DNR is working on it.
The holidays are coming upon us.
You see the holidays.
Stop everything.
Further discussion. I would agree with trustee Baum. Right now, it's basically the zoning and the use. And do we approve of it? And then we get into the details of the site plan, which includes the building, the placement, the parking lot, the turning radiuses, the roads. And what makes this one a little bit, I wouldn't say unusual, but which adds to some concerns that the Plan Commission has, and also Jeff Retzloff and his department, is we're also going through the plans of where that frontage road from Holy Hill Road to Freistadt Road is going to be going through. This is an area where it's a possibility, especially on that eastern border. So you want to kind of bring all those elements together and see how you can accomplish it together, rather than having to redo it and put cost on it, because if it does become part of that road that goes down towards Freistadt, it's best to accomplish the grading and all the widening that's necessary at one time. So that's why it's an additional consideration. But normal process is, of course, zoning and then the use of it, and then it comes with the site plan. Sometimes you get all three together, but because of the particular nuances of this lot, it requires it in this order so that they know that if we are approving this, they will then make the expenditures to show how it fits on the property. Further discussion? No further discussion? And your motion was for both, trustee Baum?
That is correct. I lumped them all as one.
And the second was from trustee Kaminsky? Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it very much. Next item under new business is item B. Fabrizio Montermini, agent for Sentinel Germantown LLC, property owner located at West 180 North 11070 River Lane, 2-lot certified survey map application to divide a 14.7 acre property and create a 5.6 acre parcel. Once again, we'll turn the meeting over for more information and background on item B to our Director of Community Development, Jeff Retzlaff.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Sentinel Germantown LLC, the owner of the property, who leases the property to the Aurora Health Center, as shown on the screen, is proposing to divide the southerly property that they own. There's actually another piece to the north along Mequon that's part of the same ownership. They're proposing to divide this southerly piece, as highlighted in red, into two parcels. Lot 1, 9.1 acres that will contain the existing health center on the left or the west side along River Lane, and Lot 2, a 5.6 acre undeveloped portion, the green field there, if you will, east of, to the right of the stormwater basin. The CSM is shown here on the screen. What makes this interesting is that as proposed, there currently isn't public road frontage on proposed Lot 2. There's opportunity for access to Lot 2, and that is shown on the screen here. Those two access opportunities include the extension of Grace Way. It's a short private street, currently private street, in a road reservation that extends south of Mequon Road, about 600 feet. That road reservation extends all the way to the north side of Lot 2. And if the village were to exercise its option, if you will, and accept that road reservation, Grace Way could be constructed all the way down to Lot 2 to provide access. Similarly, Stonewood Drive, further to the east through the Stonewood Corporate Park, there is a road reservation at the end of that cul-de-sac that extends from the east to the west to abut the eastern side of Lot 2. That too, a road reservation, the village could accept that reservation, and a extension of Stonewood Drive could be constructed in there to provide access to Lot 2. What we don't know is what's going to happen with Lot 2, what type of development might be proposed, whether or not Lot 2 is combined with other adjoining undeveloped parcels for future development. All of that will dictate the number, the type, and the extent of access that will need to be provided to serve that development. And I would point out as an aside, we know that the property owner immediately to the north of what's proposed as Lot 2, the Bayrene Bible Society, they're going to be proposing a similar land division in the next couple of months to divide off the southerly portion of their property at the end of Grace Way. So there's going to be opportunity for someone to possibly combine parcels into one larger tract that they could develop with something more significant that may necessitate both Graceway, Stonewood Drive, or possibly some other alternative from the south to provide access to what eventually develops on Lot 2. So with that in mind, the Plan Commission and staff are recommending approval of the proposed CSM with 5 conditions. Essentially, one of those conditions is that no development take place on Lot 2 until the road access from a public street is provided, either by way of Graceway or Stonewood Drive, whatever is required at the time development is actually proposed for Lot 2. So again, the PC recommendation is to approve the CSM as proposed, subject to 5 conditions.
I'll make a motion to approve the certified survey map with the 5 conditions as presented.
Second.
Trustee Warren. Motion made and seconded. Discussion on the motion to approve. No discussion? No discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Next. One abstain? Okay. Trustee Hudson abstain. Next item under new business is item C, a resolution disallowing the claim of David Latola for automobile damage. Village Attorney?
Sure. So before you this evening is a relatively simple claim. In short, the claimant in this case alleges that he was driving down the road in an area where there was some village street lawn mowing activities taking place. Indicates that a stone flew up out of the mower and hit his vehicle and damaged it. After basically, I think the police were called. They caught up with the DPW individual, talked with him a little bit. And that's why you see there, for example, there's a picture in the packet of the lawnmower that was apparently involved in this. As we've discussed previously, we have statutory immunity from claims like this, where it is effectively just an accident that the legislature has made the determination that it's better to allocate these costs to the individual as opposed to the taxpayers as a whole, unless there are certain exceptions that might apply. None of those, after reviewing this, apply here. The lawnmower was in working order. It had the appropriate guards in the appropriate locations. All of those things were confirmed. And as a result, we think that there's immunity here and would recommend denial of the claim, which would mean approval of the resolution.
Sure. You may come forward to the podium, sir. Are you Mr. Latola? Okay. Can you press the button on the base so that the light goes out on the microphone? Press it until that light goes out. It says push in that one area. There you go.
Okay. When I was riding down Mequon Road and the lawnmower was there and it did hit, the rock did come out and hit my car. Now I have quotes for, and by the way, this is a leased car. It's not my personal car. When I turn that car in, I'm going to have to pay that. You know, if it was my car, I wouldn't get it fixed. I'd leave it like it was. I can't do that with this car because it's leased. It's going to be turned in September, and I'm going to get nailed. If you guys won't cover that, I'm going to get nailed for it. No, it was your lawnmower that did it, and I don't see why I should have to pay for it. I don't know if you guys knew it was a leased car,
Okay.
but
Appreciate that. Board?
Make a motion to approve the resolution disallowing the claim as presented.
Second.
Motion made in second. Discussion. Trustee Miller?
Yeah, this came through General Government and Finance tonight, and the vote was 2-2, so it comes to the village board with no recommendation.
All right, thank you. Further discussion. Trustee Kaminsky?
Yeah, I was one of the people that did not like this at all, because it seemed very obvious that this was our lawnmower that hit this car and caused this damage. And you're expected through your auto insurance to pay for this. I understand the point of view that all of the village shouldn't have to pay for certain things. But if it's something this obvious to me, I just don't think it's right. And I'm going to vote accordingly. What would happen, for example, I have another analogy for you, for our attorney. What would happen if a village truck spilled paint in front of me where I'm driving and my car has to be repainted? And that's thousands of dollars. Are you telling me, what the heck, not our fault?
Well, just as we talked about it at the committee level.
Not the heck our fault, not our fault.
It would depend on the circumstances.
Okay.
You know, if there was some indication that the individual operating that truck had inappropriately secured the paint load or something, there may be potential liability at that point. If the individual took all of the appropriate steps and it, ends up being effectively, again, just an accident, then there probably isn't liability under the statute. It would depend on the circumstances.
And our insurance does not cover this, you said, because it wouldn't even reach the deductible?
Correct. This is below our deductible.
Do you have auto insurance that would cover this, sir?
Well, I have auto insurance, but yes, of course, there's a deductible on it.
Mhm.
And then also usually when you have an accident, a claim, then they'll raise your rates on top of that. So that's not only the $500 deductible, and I probably get the, insurance to go up, it's gonna cost me over $1,000 probably eventually, or maybe even more than that. And that damage, I think, came up to $800 and some dollars. I had 2 quotes in there
Further discussion? Trustee Peeper.
You guys know my thoughts on this already. I hate these claims that you guys always deny them when it's clearly our fault. This poor man should not even have to pay his deductible and have his insurance go up. This was clearly village error. It's their responsibility. They should pay it. This angers me. This angers the residents when things like this happen. It's unfair. It's wrong.
The practice and principle of this municipality, there were the recommendation of our insurance company to disallow these claims, to allow the opportunity of the claimant to either move it into a civil court or to change it and pay for it themselves. It's been a prerequisite over and over again, and it doesn't matter what you think or what your opinion is. It is the basis of how that insurance works.
So what does our
So you
insurance
can
actually
either- I'm
cover?
talking, thank you. So you can either disallow it or you can vote against it, either way, but it's not about a personal opinion. It's about the recommendation of our insurance company and the laws of the state of what we're responsible to and what we're not responsible to.
So what does our insurance actually cover then? What has our insurance company actually approved for a claim?
There isn't anything that I can think of specifically that I've been involved in. That
answered
the-
my
that
question.
The village's insurance company has done. But recognizing that, again, we wouldn't submit this to the insurance company because it's below, we have a self-insured retainer. It's below the level of that retainer, which means that they're not going to pay it. So it doesn't make any sense for us to even present it to them because they're just going to say, you have to pay it before we even get involved. Our insurance company does and has provided, for example, not our current insurance company because of the change in policy, but our previous insurance company provided cost of defense on tax assessment claims and the potential liability there. There have been other claims that over the years have been done, just not with the current company yet.
They would also, wouldn't they protect the village trustees for any malfeasance or possibly cases that would be brought against them for however they spoke or misspoke during the meeting?
Certainly, potentially.
So in my mind, if we disallow this, I would encourage him, I would hope that he would bring this to small claims court and a judge is it's going to be a clean cut case. Yep. Pay him. And then we're going to have to pay court costs and attorney fees, and the cost is going to be quadrupled, maybe 10 times more. But we could have just paid it to begin with.
The judge would be looking at state statute and what is normally disclaimed from a municipality and our immunity. I don't think it'd be as automatic as you
Really,
stated
because
to
I
be.
won a lawsuit. I actually sued a company for getting my truck sprayed on the freeway. I did it myself, actually.
That's
Okay.
a private company though.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, but same thing.
No.
State
that
statute.
code is
Wait.
different.
State statute
Which
claims
statute
immunity.
is it, Brian? I'll look it up right now.
89380.
893A.
Further discussion on the motion to disallow? No further discussion? Trustee Nyrider, are you,
I'm sorry, I was just making sure my mic was on.
okay?
Sorry.
No further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed, raise your hands.
Come up for a moment, please.
Motion passes.
I'm sorry, sir.
3 fail.
I don't think it's fair.
It isn't
6
fair.
to 3. Next item under new business. Thank you for coming, sir. Is item D, appointments of election inspectors, special voting deputies, and central count election officials for the 2024 through 2025 election term per the attached list.
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Any input from the village clerk?
Nope, we're just adhering to the statute section, which the current. So the current. Is that working? Is it working? Okay. So the current term will be done December 31st, and per the statute, we have to appoint for the January 1st term, which would end December 31st of 2025.
Further discussion? Thank you. Trustee Jan Miller.
Just a question. Are the election inspectors, special voting deputies, central count election officials, are they appointed or are they paid?
They have to be. So they have to be appointed by the board, and they are not volunteers, they are compensated.
Thanks for clarification.
But you get the list of who it is in case you have somebody there that you would not feel would be a fair representative. That's why they give you the full list of names.
Thank you.
Further discussion? No further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. Next item under new business is item E, 5-year road program. Give us more information and background on this new business item. We'll turn the meeting over to our Public Works Director.
Village engineer.
Village Engineer. I thought I had a 50-50 there. The new guy. One of the new guys. One of the new guys.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good evening, trustees. Each year, staff brings forward a 5-year road program to the village board for review and approval. Typically, this is timed at the end of the year, so it can be approved prior to January. That allows for local road improvement program funding from the DOT. Budget was set at 1.5 million as part of the capital improvements program from August of 2023. And this work includes 3 miles of mill and overlay, in addition to the reconstruction of pavement in areas listed in the table. Staff requested recommendation for approval from the Public Works Committee. And at that Public Works and Highways Committee, staff also identified plans to bring back for discussion the paving program for 2025 and future years to address the paving approach in comparing mill and overlay with pulverize and reconstruct, and to further discuss the supplemental and discretionary funding applications for Maple and Division Roads in the future. So with that, I open it up to any questions.
Trustee Baum.
It's been a while since I've been on this committee. Can you quickly refresh me the Pacer score? 1 is the best, 5 is the worst?
The worst is 1,
Worst is 1,
and a new pavement surface would be considered a 10.
10.
So a pavement surface evaluation and rating is the acronym basis, or the basis for the acronym PASER.
1 is the worst, 10 is the best, 10 is brand new. You've got Poplar Lane on here, which is a 4, and Beech Nut, which is a 4, and Squire Drive, which is a 4. Then in the following year, you've got 3s. Why are we taking 4s above 3s?
They're in the same neighborhood and vicinity.
Okay.
So the deterioration of those and leaving that 4 alone, while we're doing work in the area, it would kind of make it odd.
Okay, just as a convenience, you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean,
Group it all
it's a
together.
low PASER rating, and that road rating would be anticipated to deteriorate to a 3 in the coming years if it were to be
Okay,
not addressed.
that's all I needed to understand.
Other questions? No other questions? Man. I have some concerns with how we're looking at Division Road. I think Division Road is a main thoroughfare from the north end to the south end of our community, and I think it needs more than just a straight mill and overlay. I think that road, in order for the next 20 years to serve our community and the development that's happening around it, needs to be developed into something more than what it currently is. Something that is able to handle the traffic. And being that and it's not personal, it's merely an observation of living against that road since 1995, I can tell you that any entrance in or out of my subdivision takes a much longer period of time because of the amount of traffic that goes down that road between the hours of, call it morning traffic and drive home traffic than it ever has before. And some of the neighborhoods that have been added to it and possible neighborhoods that will be added to it in the next 20 years, that road is going to need serious improvement. And it will be, besides Pilgrim and Wasaki, one of the main traveled roads to get from one side of the village to the other. And that's why I look at it for more of an improvement than just mill and overlay. Trustee Bone.
I thought we have talked about that road, and the reconstruction of that road is gonna be 1.6, $1.8 million on its own. Is that?
If you, could be.
Okay, so, I didn't even look at that on here because I thought we were talking about that road separately and doing a full rebuild on it and trying to figure that out.
It shows 2 sections within, I think, 2024 and 2026, or 2025 and 2026 of mill and overlay on Division Road. Now, I understand it will be expensive, and with that, we have looked at other expensive roads in the past and have attacked them in phases.
Yep.
If we would have looked at Donjas Bay Road, saying that it would have been too expensive to repair, it would still be the same road it was, bad road it was back in the day. And I remember when I went and looked at a new car some years ago, the dealership over on Menominee Falls Main Street said, driving on Donjas Bay, it's the worst road around for a test drive.
So is your thought to have this removed from this?
My thought is to think about it in a bigger sense than mill and overlay, because
Yeah.
I think it will need substantial improvement based on the development that's happening around it.
And I thought that's what we had been talking about. So should we make a motion to remove it from here for the mill and overlay? And
If I may,
Right.
if I may offer,
Sure.
in the 2025 table, there's the base cost for the mill and overlay where Division Road is listed. And then there's also an alternate item that identifies the pulverize and reconstruct. And it identifies that for Division Road, not just the mill and overlay.
Okay.
So that's a consideration for the longevity and the cost per linear foot of the work for reconstructing and paving the road. However, with that reconstructing and that type of pulverize and pavement approach, it's more expensive. So that's why the mill and overlay was included in there based on the previous years of how the work has been approved, and with the budget that's been allocated as well. So staff's happy to do additional evaluation on the pulverize and reconstruct options and bring forward additional cost estimates.
I think that's what we should be doing.
Okay, fair, thank you.
You're welcome.
Trustee Jan Miller.
A couple of years ago, the DPW director worked with Grafe, and they applied for grants through the state, I believe. So do we have any opportunities for any kind of grants at this juncture also?
We didn't get any of those.
We
for
didn't get
Division
any of
Road.
them,
We
right?
weren't even close.
Can just interject and Kevin can add on if you'd like, but we did apply. I don't recall the name of the grant program, but we did apply twice for a significant state grant for Division Road. And as Trustee Hudson alluded, we did not come close in the scoring. It was a competitive process. And it did not appear likely that we would receive that. So I think as part of the process that Kevin kind of outlined, looking at the cost between pulverize and reconstruct and mill and overlay, we'll also take a look at what other grant opportunities might be available and how that might be able to play and help to address the cost. And also we need to look at, and it's noted in the 5-year plan, there may be some utility work under Division Road that needs to get done, and that will be a consideration as well. The sanitary force main under there is something that needs to be looked at, and there's also ductile iron water main underneath Division Road that will have to be replaced at some point. And whether we do that as part of a reconstruction program or not is another question. So there's, I think it was really helpful, and the road conditions on Division indicate that it needs to be in the 5-year plan and addressed. But I think there are a lot of questions yet on exactly what that looks like and how that's going to be done. And our new village engineer, public works director, have a big project in front of them to get that analysis completed.
Trustee Warren.
I share the same experience as President Walter. Living on Juniper Drive since 1990, I've driven that road almost every day, and traffic has really increased. There's some times where you wait at least a minute at the intersection to get onto Division. So the point being, and I shared my thoughts with the village engineer at Public Works, that Pazer is a good start, but you got to step back from it, kind of look at future development, future traffic growth, how that impacts your road section. It's not just a condition thing, it's a capacity thing that I know Kevin will be looking at that. I also asked the village engineer to kind of revisit our past strategies of seal coating our roads. I know Jay was really big on that. I personally, based on my own experience, kind of question the value of that. So a couple things related to the road programs that I think having a new set of eyes looking at it will be beneficial for the village.
Other questions? Trustee Hudson.
Just a quick question. Didn't we have some ARPA money set aside to increase the budget on this?
Or cover the borrowing, yeah. 750? what?
Yeah, which I thought,
Matt? He's looking.
Matthew's checking the ARPA scorecard, and yes, there is.
I think we cut a little bit of that, but I still think we had 600 or 650,000 additional dollars to
There
spend
is-
on this program.
There is a significant amount, and I think that's another future decision for the board is how you would like to utilize that. If you'd like to reduce the borrowing amount for the 2024 program or accelerate some of the 2025 roads into 2024. Using the ARPA funds, those would be options as well before we go out to bid and get that set.
So this is the 5-year road plan, but 25% of next year's money isn't in the plan. And I mean,
It was set based on the 1.5 million that was established in August 2023.
It's part of the budget.
so any use of that ARPA funds would be TBD, to be determined as of right now?
I think what's question is you can use it to either put on top of what is already in the proposed capital borrowing or use it to substitute for.
Okay. And when that when do we have to have that money committed? End of
February.
24, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Just one estimate that we had for Division Road for the reconstruct. In the two different portions, there's a 3,750 feet and 5,350 feet. And the pulverize and reconstruct estimates for those respectively was 401,000 and 572,000. So that exceeds the 750 for those two segments, but not each one individually, where that gap in between is where that sanitary force main work is. So there's a southern portion and a northern portion. So each one of those portions could potentially be considered to fit within that 750.
Trustee Kaminsky.
Just a couple comments. I mean, I agree with trustee Hudson that 750 sitting out there. Applying that to Division Road makes it doable within the next couple of years in our budget. And we're crazy if we don't do it because Division Road is awful. And it's getting worse every year and it's getting more highly traveled every year. And I personally would like to see that money applied specifically to that road. I think it's a great idea. Second, I just would like to remind, I think Jean was here, maybe trustee Baum. We're going back about 9-10 years when Donjas Bay was done. Do you remember the fiasco of Donjas Bay Road, which went on for like 3 years? Because we were assured that we were going to get state funding from the state. And they wanted to expand the road. We had to follow all these state standards. Had this room filled with people who did not want that. They wanted to follow the existing footprint. We went on back and forth for over 3 years on that, while that road became the worst road in the village, and we couldn't make a decision. Finally, we found out again, the state is not going to give the village of Germantown money ever. The money goes to Milwaukee County. It does not go to a conservative suburb. It just doesn't. I mean, that's a fact. We're not going to ever see state money. So the reality is we have to figure out how we're going to budget for these roads ourselves. And we ultimately had to pay for Donjas Bay Road, and we did it in 2 sections. And we got it done, and it's really good. But let's not make the same mistake twice and think that we're ever going to see state money for Division Road, because that would be just frankly stupid. We've got to figure out how to fund this ourselves, and that 750,000 is a great start.
Other questions? There's no motion. Trustee Jan Miller.
I agree with you, trustee Kaminsky. Division Road is not good, but my suggestion would, I don't know the realm of roads, but I was just asking if there were any other types of grants other than the state. Federal, county, I don't know. Green tree, we'll save a tree. I don't know. But perhaps there is something else out there. Every little bit helps, just saying. And this wouldn't commence until Division 2025.
To the first, yes, I can answer your questions. So Division Road is listed as 2025. And then to the first part of your question regarding the funding, staff attended a workshop in Washington County over in West Bend.
Yeah.
And there was the prioritization of different municipalities with a local roads improvement program. So Kewaskum, Slinger, Hartford, and West Bend are all applying for a pool or a pot of money, and but that's ultimately going to the state. So that application through the county highway commissioner, that ends up going through the state local road improvement program. There is an opportunity potentially through federal funds, but that's typically for larger projects that have multiple partners involved. So those that could be looked at as well.
Thank you.
Other questions? You need, no, there's no motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to,
Accept.
yes, accept the recommendations for the 5-year road program. That's the main motion.
I'll second that.
And I'd like to make,
Thank you.
I'd like to make an amendment that Division Road be reevaluated to a full reconstruction using remaining ARPA funds that we have and put in the year 2025.
Were you able to come up with a figure, Matthew?
I thought.
Semaphore it? No, I'm just kidding.
That's what I thought we were talking about.
Yeah.
If,
what the
if my
state
memory's, if my memory's correct, it was about 5.2
Because they were putting up
million or something like that.
Left over?
No, that's what it costs to do
Oh.
division.
Right.
It's 100 times. So there are a variety of projects that have been approved using ARPA funds, including the Axon, Taser, and body worn cameras. $100,000 was allocated for additional public safety staff. $70,000 was allocated to pond inspection. $60,000 was allocated to outdoor tennis courts. If we were to allocate all those funds to those projects as the village board intended to, there'd be about $780,000 remaining in ARPA funds, with recommended projects still on the horizon, including public safety building design, Highway 167, the village's portion of that, and $80,000 for the Maple Landing portion that the village is required to match. So there's $780,000 that still needs to be allocated. How the village board decides to allocate that is up to the village board.
What's our sunset on that?
It has to be, contract has to be in place by the end of 2024, and the funds have to be spent by the end of 2026.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin, do we have any idea what this is going to cost? Is it the $5 million? Is there a different number for rebuilding Division Road?
The rebuilding compared to just pulverizing and reconstructing, I guess those are two different things where if there's curb and there's side paths compared to what's identified in this 2025 million overlay was just a number from a verbal from the contractor saying, hey, we just want to resurface this with a high impact, get in there and get out and resurface it. So that's where those original costs come in. And then the dollar amounts that I stated, the 401,000 and the 572,000, those are staff estimates for pulverizing and reconstructing that same space. So that's $973,000.
Three.
And that's just rebuilding the road as it is today. It's not improving it with better turn lanes, wider shoulders,
Curb and gutter.
curb and gutter. It's
Right.
not doing any of that.
Within its existing footprint, correct.
Okay, so we need another number for rebuilding the whole thing, better turn lanes, curb and
Improvements,
gutter
Yeah.
improvements.
bike lane, whatever. For all the runners on our board.
That is my motion. Did we have a second on that?
So when the estimates prepared, the bike lane is considered as a shoulder as opposed to a side path. Is that something that is going to be further considered, or at this point, should we table that discussion until next time?
I would suggest that we can go out and get that additional estimate. I
Okay.
think Grafe had done some work along those lines as part of the grant that was previously
Okay.
submitted. And then for the question about the design and what that would look like, again, I think some of that was addressed in the past. And Kevin hasn't had a chance to dig through all the boxes of files yet, back in DPW. But also, this division road was included in the recreational trail plan that was recently adopted. And we think we'd want to take a look at that as when we look at the design, when we look at the full reconstruct of what that might look like and what it might cost.
And I think in doing that, we line item it. What's the path cost? What's the rebuilding of the road cost? What is other amenities cost? So that maybe we just do the road and we don't do the paths right now, depending on dollar value.
Further discussion on the motion to amend. Trustee Baum, could you restate your motion to amend so everyone is clear?
No.
You want to read what she
Yes.
has? Okay.
Yes, please.
So the motion by trustee Baum to accept the recommendation of the village engineer for the 5-year road plan with the following amendment, that Division Road be reevaluated using ARPA funds that we have for 2025. Is that correct?
Evaluated to construct the entire road. Total reconstruction.
Okay, reevaluate it for total reconstruction.
Yes.
Okay, we'll include that. And that was seconded by trustee Kaminsky.
Further discussion on a motion to amend.
But Terry seconded the.
That's correct. Further discussion on a motion to amend. No further discussion? We'll do roll call vote, please.
Trustee Warren?
Aye.
Trustee Nyrider?
Aye.
It's not working very well. Trustee Baum?
Aye.
Trustee Jan Miller?
Aye.
Trustee Hudson?
Aye.
Trustee Peeper? Trustee Rick Miller?
Aye.
Trustee Kaminsky? Village President Walter?
Aye. Now back to the motion as amended. Further discussion? Further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Warren? Trustee Nyrider?
Aye.
Trustee Baum?
Aye.
Trustee Jan Miller?
Aye.
Trustee Hudson?
Aye.
Trustee Peeper? Trustee Rick Miller? Trustee Kaminsky? Village President Walter?
Aye. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the 2022 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. Director I'm sorry, Village Administrator.
The trustees, you have at the dais, we distributed hard copies of the final document that we received from Baker Tilly this afternoon. The final draft was given to us by Baker Tilly last Thursday afternoon, and was included in the packet. The only difference between the documents should be the draft stamp, and the final does have the Baker Tilly signature. If I'm not sure if we were able to get the final document posted on the website today. Yeah, we got it about 3:30, 4 o'clock. I'm seeing the finance director say the final document is online and posted, so it is available for anybody who would like. And I guess just the final thing that I wanted to point out is for the finance director and his team. This is the second audit and second comprehensive financial report that they've completed this year. You know, in addition to preparing the budget, cleaning up some of the data loss issues that took place from our crash last year, and, you know, implementation of Tyler Munis financials. So I think they've achieved and completed an incredible amount of work this year. So, and with that, there's no action that's necessary, but happy to answer any questions you might have.
Trustee Baum.
A lot of information for me to go through. I'm not an accountant. So it's gonna take me a while to dig into this, but in here, maybe you know it off the top of your head. Do we have an answer to Ms. Huber's $3.32 million of accumulated library county revenue for capital improvements? Is that in
Yeah,
here somewhere?
It's actually not, the report doesn't get into that level of detail, you know, specifying that capital reserve account. And just for additional background, the county, for some period of time, they stopped, I believe about 3, 4, 5 years ago, providing annual contributions to municipalities that could only be used for capital improvements to libraries. And that was set up 20, 25 years ago. The way it was set up, there is a capital reserve account. It's part of our capital fund. That money is maintained there. There's a balance of a little over $800,000. That hasn't changed in the past couple of years. The last changes were related to a project that was approved by the village board and the library board for the roof replacement. And then I believe there was some amount for the sign that was agreed upon by both the village board and the library board. Other than that, there have been no expenditures, no changes. Some people have, and I think the resident questioned earnings on investments, and I did respond back to her by email. And one of the things that people don't realize, especially if they're not into a lot of accounting rules, is that even though interest rates are going up, we are required by accounting rules to report investments on a mark-to-market basis or a fair value basis. So when we purchase investments, things like treasuries, things like municipal bonds, and we typically hold them to maturity. And when they mature, we collect whatever interest was earned on that. But under accounting rules, we're required on an annual basis to report that based on what their market value is. So we have, you know, 3-year investments in these types of instruments, and they were invested 3 years ago at low interest rates. Now, when interest rates are going up, it means that the value of those investments that we're holding goes down. So even though we don't lose any money, we don't see any gain in interest either. And that's why you're not seeing, if you're looking at those reports, that there's not more money going on in earnings on investments. So it's kind of a long and complicated answer, but it's a long and complicated issue. So there's no easy way to explain that.
So the $3.32 million that she's looking for is actually only 800,000? Is that what I got out of?
The 800,000 is in the 3.2 million. It's
3.2 is village-wide, $800,000 is library.
Correct.
That's what I needed. That's what I needed.
Sorry. No, I gave you a long answer, but I should have given you a short one.
Village-wide. Thank you.
Trustee Jan Miller.
So is that noted in this report anywhere?
Is what noted?
The 3.2 million that the village is holding, where we only get the mark to market analysis for the investment.
In the footnotes to the financial statements, it explains how earnings on investments are calculated. I don't know the exact footnote or the exact page, but if you do look through those, there's a footnote that identifies how earnings on investments are calculated. It won't give the specific amount for the library fund because again, it's not a fund, it's an account within a fund. So the audit and the reports don't get down to that level of detail.
Okay, and then could Matthew help me find that in the report, in this new updated report? And you're saying we do have a 3-year investment with low interest rates. Are all the investments in this report, in the financial report, this comprehensive financial report?
There are tables that they don't get down to the individual investment level within the report, but there are tables both that first of all, there's footnotes to the financial statements that identify the village's investment policies and the types of investments that we put money into, and both under state statute and then again under village policy. And there are tables that summarize those investments, but there's not details. If you look at the actual investments, it's many pages long in terms of the individual investments that the village has.
So it would be a report like Ellers gives us for a TID, correct? Something like that?
Ellers is our investment manager, and they do provide monthly statements, reports that shows all of the investments with the amounts and the maturity dates.
So it has this investment of 836,000 or whatever actually has a line item number. So can't it be identified in the investment report?
That's not the way that the investments work. The cash that's available from across village accounts is pooled and then invested by Ehlers. So the 800 and some $1,000 from the library is combined with the general fund cash reserves that are available, and the sewer and the water utility funds that are available, and so on. And then those are combined because it helps to achieve the best overall rate of return. So when you look at an Ehlers report, you see there are treasuries that are purchased on this date and mature on that date. There is a municipal bond from I don't know, the Minneapolis school district that issued municipal bonds, and the village purchased some of those bonds, and what the maturity date is. It doesn't break out like which portion of those is cash from the library versus cash from the general fund or the sewer utility or the water utility.
But we do have individual funds. There's a section in our budget for individual funds.
We're kind of talking about two
different
completely
things,
different
right.
things. There are
But on the
accounts
fund,
that we use for budgeting and for accounting on the village's books. And then there are investment funds that Ehlers maintains that has specific investments. Two things that they both are called funds, but they're two different animals, and they're not directly related to one another.
oh, thank you.
And if I could just add, we plan on having Ehlers come to the January GGF meeting to go over the investment summary for 2023.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you, Matthew.
Other questions? Trustee Rick Miller.
More of a comment than a question, but when I was going over this, there was one thing that stood out, and that's budget versus actual. And everything was pretty much in line until we got the public safety, and public safety was over budget $1.1 million. I mean, that is a lot. That's our entire deficit plus.
You know, and I haven't had a chance to go through and review all of the tables. There are some differences between the way that those reports are prepared versus what we look at for our budget and budget to actuals. There are some things that are included in that budget to actual report within the annual comprehensive financial report that we wouldn't typically look at in our line item budget. Having said that, it is correct that in public safety, we went over budget significantly in 2022. Most of that was related to overtime. And that was a major factor in what happened with our budget gap in 2024. As I'm talking and I'm thinking in the back of my mind, other reasons for that larger difference would be if, for example, when the village board has made decisions to fund a portion of a new police officer using some of the prior year's reserve, that shows up as a deficit in the financial report. That shows up as a minus because you're using reserves to fund a position. It's not current revenues. The same thing would be true for expenditures that come out of ARPA, because those are set up as a separate fund. They would show up as overspending the budget.
So these may have not been budget line items, but other funds that were allocated to public safety.
Correct.
Showing as a deficit.
Correct. So there was a deficit in public safety in 2022. It wasn't from the way we would look at a budget, it wasn't $1.1 million.
Right. What are we trending for 2023? I should know this because I just saw the year to dates, but I don't remember.
I'm gonna phone a friend and ask the finance director if he can help out with that.
Or I can look it up from my GGF bud meeting.
Yeah, so if you looked at your GGF packet, you'd see revenues are below expenditures. The reason for that is we have to make an entry for taxes to complete out the year. So each year we do a journal entry per month for taxes. If you add in about that 2 million that's not in there, we're about even revenue versus expenditures. So we're planning on coming out, just about even for 2023. But we still have to close out November and December here.
Okay, thanks.
Trustee Paul.
Administrator Krecklo, can you give us a summary of these, what makes up this $1.1 million deficit? Where do we take this money from? Where do we take that money from that is not making it come out right?
For that line in the police department?
Yeah, police and fire, public safety, whatever drove that $1.1 million deficit.
We can take a look at that, and another thought that comes to mind, again, just we can give you a full report. There was, I believe, in 2022 there might have been a revenue shortfall in ambulance fees, and I think we also did make some adjustments for uncollectibles. So those are things that get factored in as well, but it's something, and I guess I could suggest I can either bring it back to the full village board, or if it's something that GGF you'd prefer to handle at the committee level, we could take it to GGF, whichever.
I'm usually here early. I just want to know what makes up this $1.1 million deficit. And if it's these other things, I can understand that, but I don't know it. I need to see it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a portion of that, but it's not a small portion of it. It's not, we did not go spend over more than $1.1 million over overtime.
Yeah.
Maybe 100,000, somewhere in that ballpark, but okay, we can do that.
Other questions? Trustee Hudson.
It's interesting to me that the greater of the two numbers is actually coming from the fire department, not the police department. So that's, and I know what we're spending in overtime, and it is nowhere close to the bottom line number there.
We'll take a look at it and report back to would you prefer the committee or the entire board?
I think the board.
Okay.
Sure. That's right. You don't have to go early. Other questions? All right, this would conclude what would be considered the 2022 audit. There was a fair amount of angst expressed at the last meeting in regards to this report, but I would echo what village administrator said about our financial department. I think they did a stellar, fabulous job in 2023 with 2 audits, 2 financial reports, a budget, and the ongoing of Tyler Munis and its application to the different departments that were directed to bring that on board. So Matthew, and to you, all your colleagues, thank you for all your hard work and all your time. It's very much appreciated by me, and I'm sure members of this village board. I would remind the trustees that it was given the impression last meeting that we were waiting for the completion of the 2022 budget, or I'm sorry, audit. And in fact, that was not really true, even though it was an impression made. The actual audit and presentation of the 2022 audit was done in September 18th, when Baker Tilly came before this body and presented it to us. The only thing that we didn't have was the final report that you have tonight. But the audit itself was completed and presented, and that was actually before our first budget meeting that happened later that same month, like 9/26 or 9/27. I forget exactly the date of the first budget. So with this report in hand, that now should complete that 2022 audit, not only in the sense of being presented to us, but also in writing with the official report before us. Anything else on new business item F? Nothing else. We can go to item G, discussion action on canceling or rescheduling the regular scheduled village board meeting, which is scheduled for January 1st, 2024, due to Village Hall being closed on this day in observance of the holiday.
Make a motion, we cancel the January 1st meeting.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to cancel January 1st, 2024 meeting. Discussion on the motion. Trustee Kaminsky.
Just a question. We don't anticipate much on that agenda, I would think. That's a quiet time of year.
Yeah, I think if you were to reschedule for later that week, there probably would not be a great deal on the agenda because, number one, a lot of the businesses and folks that are sending things through slow down between the holidays and don't submit as much to the village. And secondly, there is a fair amount of village staff that takes off during that time period and wouldn't be available to prepare information. So yeah, my thought would be there would not be a lot on an agenda for the first week of January.
Good, okay.
Further discussion? Trustee Jan Miller.
If we want to reschedule, would that be an amendment?
If you wanted to reschedule, it would be an amendment based on how it's listed on the agenda. And the motion's already been made to cancel, yes. So to answer your question, yes, it would be an amendment.
Technically not. By Robert's rules, given the way that by Robert's rules, given the way that the motion is framed, you really couldn't do an amend, the motion is to cancel. You couldn't amend that to cancel and also do something else. So really you would have to vote this one down and then do another motion to reschedule it at some other time.
At
just
some
the
other
quirk of
time?
Robert's rules.
Not tonight.
You would
No,
reschedule it to another time.
Oh, thank
Tonight,
you.
you would reschedule it to another time.
Thank you.
Right. But you would vote down this motion.
All right.
But certainly your suggestion and the reasons for that would be germane to whether or not you vote in favor or against the motion that is currently pending, which is to cancel. So if you think that you want to reschedule, and wish to make your case, you should do that now before you hold the vote on whether you're going to cancel or not.
I would like to reschedule
For,
for
you go,
the
go ahead.
following week. Or
That would be
another
plan
week.
commission meeting the following week.
Okay, don't we have, just, how many Mondays are there in January?
Well, we usually have ours on the first and the third, and the second being plan commission. And we always hold the fourth as a possible plan commission if needed because of schedule, but lately it hasn't been required.
Yeah.
So if you would have it, you would have to have it later in the same week. So like the second, the third, the fourth, or the fifth. Because on this 9th, no, 8th, you would have a plan commission meeting.
No, I mean, later in the month.
Oh, well, then you would have, on the third Monday, you would have,
No, that's the regular one.
correct?
Why do you need another?
We don't,
Anything you didn't do the first one, you'd be doing on.
but there's always the possibility, if needed, if something would come up that would require this body to vote on or discuss, there is always the possibility of calling a special meeting.
Okay.
As long as it fits and we have a quorum of the village board members available on that date that the special meeting would be suggested. You could do it that way too,
Or
but
if we don't have a plan commission meeting on that, fourth, the 24th.
no, it's usually just held in reserve as a possibility, but the last couple times there hasn't been enough on the agenda for plan commission that for us to use that fourth Monday.
So I can't make a motion now.
No. And if this one passes, then it ends up being canceled, right? Okay.
Correct.
So everyone's clear on how you would like to vote on this particular motion. Further discussion? No further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed? One opposed? Motion carries.
2 opposed.
Two opposed, I'm sorry, two opposed.
Me.
Trustee Hudson and trustee Miller, Jan Miller. Next item on the agenda is item H, Administrator 2023 Performance Goals Update. The village board may enter into closed session per Wisconsin statutes 19.85, subsection 1, subparagraph C for considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, and then may reconvene into open session to take such action as it deems appropriate.
Go into closed session.
Second.
Second is trustee Hudson. Motion made and second. Any discussion on the motion to go into closed session? No discussion. We'll do roll call vote, please. Just the village administrator. And that's okay with the second? You're not the second, trustee Hudson is. But I didn't see his lips move either.
Oh, they were moving, but to him, it's-
All right,
yes.
all right, roll call vote, please.
All right, trustee Baum, trustee Warren, trustee Nyrider, trustee Jan Miller,
Aye.
trustee Hudson,
Aye.
trustee Pieper, trustee Rick Miller, trustee Kaminsky, and President Walter.
Aye. All right, before we go into into closed section, the next village board meeting will be on January 15th here at the Village Hall Boardroom. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you all for watching. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. More stuff?